Hi, my name is Anna, and today we're going to be going over how to set up a document in InDesign. So once you've opened up InDesign, we're going to go to Create New. And for this tutorial, we're just going to go to Print and click on the letter size. So here you can add a title. So I'll just put tutorial. And here we're seeing the width and height, which is of the page. So maybe you might not know what picas means. You could click on inches and that will give you a better understanding of the units, or there's also centimeters, millimeters, whatever is easier for you to understand. And here there's also the option to change the orientation from vertical to horizontal. And here we have the number of pages that we would like for the document. So for this document, I'm going to start off with 8 pages. Okay, and now it's starting at page 1, which is what I want. And here we have columns, and this is going to help us in creating a grid for our document. So to start off with, I'm going to add 5 columns, and then underneath that we have margins. So margins are useful in giving space on the page or the document. So it's kind of the same thing as in Word. When you were creating a Word document, you're going to have maybe like an inch of margin between where the writing is starting and ending. So it has a similar idea. So here, maybe I can adjust it to 1 inch. And over here, this is what is making the adjustment all do the same for all 4 of them. So maybe I want to have a bigger margin at the top, so I can do that here manually. Or maybe I want them to be the same. So for this purpose, I'm just going to keep them the same. So as you see, once I clicked on the little chain icon, it went and locked all of them. And now we also have the bleed option. Now, the bleed option is very important when you are printing a document because it gives you a better understanding of where you should be placing items. And for example, if you have a colored background, you are going to want to extend it across the bleed so that way when you print it, that color is going to be going all over your page and not missing or having any white spots. So for this purpose, I'll put 1/2 inch. Okay. And I'm going to click on create. Okay, so now that we have opened up our document, as you can see, the margin space is too big, and I did this on purpose so that I could show you guys how to change it again. But over here, as you can see, these are the various pages that there are. So in our document, so if you click on it, as you can see, it's going down to each one. Now, if we want to edit these, so for example, if right now I were to edit and go to layout, margins and columns and make those changes, it will only make the change for that specific page. But if I want to make the change for all of the pages, there is a very nice option, which is the master page over here. So I'm going to click on the master page. And so right now what I've done is I've highlighted both the first and the second page here. So I clicked on this one and now I'm going to click on the other one while holding shift. And that way they have both been highlighted. So now the changes that I'm going to make are going to appear on both sides of the pages. So I'm going to go to layout, and here there's margins and columns. So as you can see, the preview is set. So now once I start moving this, it will also demonstrate how it moves on the page. So I'm going to go and make this 1/2 inch. So maybe that wasn't clear. Let me go over it again. So I'll open layout, margins and columns. And so what I did was you can type it, or you can also use the arrow keys to increase or decrease the size. So once that's done, you can hit enter, which is what I previously did, or you can press OK. And also you can change the column sizes here as well. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. And now I have my grid, which is the columns here, and I have my margin here. And as well, you can see this red line, which is your bleed line. So a nice way to think of this is that if you have a piece of paper, your bleed line is that space that you're going to leave so that you can cut off. So if you have a background color, for example, so here I'll grab a square and I'm just gonna create a background color here. Make it green. So now, as you can see, because I've extended it all the way up to my bleed line, now I know if I print this, the color is fully extending all over the page. And I don't have to worry about there being any white space. And as you can see, now that I've added that background, it is also on all of the other pages on the left-hand side. It's demonstrated here. Okay. So, okay, so I'm just gonna delete that for now. Now, once you have like a multi-page document, one thing that might be useful is you maybe want to add some numbers. So we can go to the type tool and we can just write out. So for example, maybe like if one were to add like 8, make that a bit bigger, go to properties and change the font size to 24, for example. And then I'm just gonna shrink my text. Okay. And once I've shrinked it, I'm just gonna move this over to this corner. Now, the nice thing is because I have my column lines or my grid, I now know that if I were to go Control C and go on the other side and go Control V, I can have these both be the same distance and the same location, right? Okay, so now the issue with that is that if I go to page 2, it didn't automatically change it. So instead, what we have to do is we have to go back to the master and we're going to highlight the number and we're going to go to type and then insert special character and go to the next menu and click on markers and click on current page number. So as you can see, it is now changed to an A. So we're going to copy this A, I'm going to click on it and go Control C, and then I'm just going to delete this one. So I've clicked on it and I'm going to click on backspace. And now we can go Control V and just slide this over here. Okay, so for example, with this one, I'm going to zoom in and just have it touch the line a bit more, which is what I want. So I'm just going to make the box a little bit smaller. And now, as you can see, it's closer to that edge, so it'll be more similar. Though you might want to give some space depending if you're going into like 10, 11, 12, 13, since that's going to be 2 digits instead of 1. So for right now, I'm going to go to page 6, and as you can see, we have 6 and 7 here. And then on page 8, we have page 8. And on page 1, when I click on that, there we have the 1. Now, you might be wondering why we are using these lines here. These lines are really helpful for when you're wanting to work on your document. So for example, I have a square here, maybe this is an image, and then underneath it, I have some form of text, whatever it may be, right? So the nice thing is now that I have this line, I can center it or I can align it with the box very easily because I have this on top. So this is a nice feature that lets me know where things are. And even if I don't want the text to be right underneath it, even if it's all the way at the bottom here and it's a separate text, I can still have it be aligned with the top image that we're using or the box. So that is the reason why columns are very useful in designing our documents. One other aspect that I wanted to include is that apart from the margins and the columns that can be used, there is also the option when you go to layout for creating guides, you can create rows as well. So currently we've been going over columns, but now if you were to add some rows, you'll see that there's these lines over here that start to appear. Now, these are useful kind of in the same way as you would with having lines on a piece of paper. You know, they'll allow you to align your text and images, and they're pretty similar to the columns, except they are horizontal this time. So as you can see, if I have maybe a box over here, it's nice because now I know that I can, if I go Control C and V, Control V, I can copy it and I can place it exactly in the same spot on the other side of the page. These ones are not going to be shown when you're printing it, but they are going to allow you to put information that is going to be shown on every single one of the other pages. So that is very useful for page numbers, or if you're going to be putting a logo somewhere or some kind of design that you want to be consistent throughout your document. And then, as you can see, we have our bleed line here, which is this red one outside. And then this overall box is where we have our margin between the page. And then what's inside would be the grid that allows you to align different text, images, and other objects that you might be using when creating your document. Okay. And again, the columns and the margin can all be changed when you go to margins and columns. All right, I hope that was clear. If not, you can always send me an email or Susan. Okay, thank you.